popping all that bullshit. I be seeing you, Jimmy, talking about we Gucci boo boo here in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. The Black King was going up. Jimmy like, Marita Moneda. Coca-Cola.
It sounds like he want to do one with 50 Cent. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like Jim.
Nah, I don't want to do nothing with that sucker. You heard? Leave him out of the conversation.
Jim Jones. Who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's not like no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family.
When Jay did the remix, it was the biggest alley-oop he could do for me. I understood a lot about music, and at that time, people were looking at the wrong way, and I was looking at the right way.
50 Cent recently blasted Jim Jones for insulting Nas. And he released this uncommon video demonstrating how Jim turned on Jay-Z. Going from calling Jay soft to pleading for a ROC Nation agreement.
If I told you I was in the Roc Nation office, how would you feel about that? Huh? You think I was lying? That's clear enough for you?
He respects Nez, but as you are all likely aware, 50 has never been a fan of Jim or Jay. 50 took it personally when Jim lately began boasting about how much superior he was to Nas and how he had made Nas viral once more.
What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever.
Furthermore, Jim's contempt for Nas isn't the only thing that 50 just revealed. It concerns Jim's lengthy history of betrayal and sly actions. For years, Jim has been reversing the course, alternating between disdain and surrender, pleading and conflict, particularly with Jay-Z. The thing is this: Jim made fun of Jay for more than 10 years. He even gave one of Jay's execs a smack. However, Jim scurried back to Jay-Z when he needed a contract, pleading to be signed and referring to him as a hero. 50 is now taking this opportunity to remind everyone of Jim's true identity. A guy who has no allegiance, no genuine position, and no regard for the culture he professes to represent. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. There is an entire tale of how Jim's disdain for Nas backfired horribly, leading to individuals like 50 looking into Jim's history and revealing everything. Let's examine Jim's transition from criticizing Jay to showing empathy.
Some people shouldn't be able to say your names until they've done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like, Jim Jones, who is Jim?
As everyone knows, 50 Cent isn't afraid to call out dishonest players. Additionally, his recent remarks that Jim Jones was Jay-Z's lapdog after Jim insulted Nas brought attention to Jim's habitual flip-flopping. Jim asserted that he is superior to Nez, in case you missed it. He even got into a heated argument with Shannon Sharpe, who said he could outshine Nez in the booth.
More influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when we talk about the sales and all this type. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people.
But lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
y'all
but look how you dress. Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. And the
but
things that we listen.
I can be in the church house. You can't ever Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, I know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas. You're not seeing Nas, bro. Let's be real.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than Nas.
It don't matter.
Look at you.
Hey,
I will run circles around Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right now. Right now, I will run Saturn around Nas right now rapping. Everybody knows that.
Jim dug hard and boasted about how he made Nas relevant again for the first time since Nas's feud with Jay-Z. Even though rappers criticized him for stating he's gentler than Nas,
he's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas
you did the last time he was in some this when people were comparing when him and Jay was beating on him. You heard?
You already know that 50 Cent had to intervene and remind Jim about his personal relationship with Jay since Jim brought him up. And this is what 50 did. He showed this old video of Jim appearing and exuberant at Roc Nation headquarters. Additionally, 50 used the caption as an occasion to brag about Jim, writing, "I was questioned whether I had more enemies than friends. After giving it some thought, I remarked, yes, poor me. I am suffering because of my achievement. Funny."
I did a little something for you in the studio. Then he had something to Old Boy.
This is Old Boy's already #1?
Yeah, it's popping.
All right.
Yeah, I listened to it and I was like, erase that shit.
Now, you may assume that 50 is being petty. But if you are familiar with the entire history of Jim Jones and Jay-Z's connection, his post will make more sense. You see, Jim used street battles, diss recordings, and public shootings too hardcorely, criticized Jay-Z for 13 years. However, when it worked for him, he went all out and pleaded for Jay's blessing. And that's the main idea. Since Jim's entire dubious background is being brought back into the public front, his latest Nas CD is the type of move that is likely to backfire badly. But wait, how did Jim go from hitting one of Jay's execs and making fun of him to pleading with Jay to sign him? Let's go back. It all began in 2002 when Dame Dash introduced Jim Jones and Cameron to Roc-A-Fella. Jim even said that Cam was given a position at Roc as vice president. Jay, though, never made this public. Later that year, Cam said to The Source, "At this point, I'm not even sure whether I'll accept the part. I mean, I can have it, but Dame and I are still discussing it. I own it." However, as you can see, Jay approved of and informed The Source that it isn't yet effective. As of right now, I believe the conversation is a little too soon. Thus, the tension was present right away. Jay then made a remix of the song "Oh Boy" by Cameron and Jules Santana, in which he included a line that was a jab at Nas. However, Jim and Cam declined to make the remix public, and Cam made the decision to remove Jay's verse. He later declared that he would not permit Jay to exploit their music as a means of resolving their disagreement.
First of all, let's get right to it. There seems to be some drama. You and The Roc, Jay-Z, you try to diss. You did diss him. I diss nobody. You dissed him.
I dissed Michael Jordan.
Oh man, we just having fun out here. There's no drama, man. No, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Shout out to Dame Dash, who started Roc-A-Fella Records. If y'all don't know, he's responsible for Roc-A-Fella getting off the floor. That started in Harlem. You know what I'm talking about?
And the tone was set at that time. Jay didn't seem to appreciate Jim and Cam. The sneak shots period began at this point. In interviews and radio appearances, Jim began criticizing Jay more frequently, portraying him as soft, corporate, and detached from the streets.
I'm on there, Jones.
Capo.
Burning the streets up. Y'all know what it is, man. Purple Haze coming out. My dude Cam album coming out. Joel Santana, he's slated for September. You know what they call me, Geronimo Pratt. Dipset, the new Black Panther. Want no problems. I promise you.
Jim was determined to convey that Dipset's movement was violent, ostentatious, and raw. Jim capitalized on Jay's more formal and businesslike demeanor, asserting that Jay was abandoned by the streets.
Yeah, I'm sitting clean with the bottom kitted. I hopped down sagging jeans in my rock glisten. But I spent about 8 grand, mommy on stage, doing the rain dance.
At first, Jay didn't give a direct response. Everyone was aware that there was conflict inside Roc-A-Fella, though. In 2006, Jim releases the song "We Fly High." Balling became a popular buzzword after the song's explosion.
Brooklyn getting paper, so big things. We shake around, they all ball game. It's over for you dames. Give me back the chain, it's over for you dames.
When Jim eventually had a solo success, Jay-Z realized he needed to reply. He released a remix of Jim's original track called "Brooklyn High." But that wasn't a tribute. It was a disc.
Jim Jones, the rapper's going down. Jim Jones.
Jones.
Jay made fun of Jim's ad-libs, bars, and manner, was dismissive, icy, and surgical. However, Jim retaliated with a beef mix, changing the tempo once again and addressing Jay personally, accusing him of being weak, elderly, and out of touch. However, things were pretty heated at this point, and the animosity erupted into the actual world. Security tape from 2008 showed Jim touching someone in a Louis Vuitton store. It was later discovered that the victim was Lenny Santiago, Jay-Z's longtime A&R. Jim entered a guilty plea to minor assault after being arrested for this.
What's up with that Jim Jones, man?
Hip-hop, of course, you know, is a competitive sport. But on the other end of it, it's like certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they've done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like, Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's not like no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family. I was saying last night, it's like the 8th guy on the bench just screaming at Jordan, like, you a bum. Like, you want to be like the 9th guy on the bench. I'm not even worried about you.
Although Jay remained silent about the event in public, the message was evident behind closed doors. The rap feud was no longer the focus of this. It was intimate. A few months later, Jay spoke on the current status of rap music in an interview with XXL. Additionally, he made fun of Jim by claiming that songs like Nah 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 by Jim are the ones destroying the culture. Jay said, I mean, like Jim Jones, for example. Furthermore, we never agree. Therefore, I don't mean this. He created Nah Nah Nah. What distinguishes Soulja Boy from Trey Songz's smiley face? Additionally, it might have been referred to as a happy face. Jay was now making calculated shots. Even though he might not have been on the streets, he managed to make fun of Jim without getting his hands filthy. However, the feud became a Cold War after this. There was only quiet tension between 2010 and 2015, no fights or diss recordings. But in 2015, Dipset does a freestyle over Diddy's winning track. Jim and Cam both make fun of Jay and Roc Nation, calling the label industry puppets, making fun of the entire brunch trend, and even making reference to Beyonce. Cam rapped, "Being wealthy does not equate to being a real person. You entered the court with the intention of playing my game. State my name," like Shadi said. They tried to rekindle the dispute in this way. Jay-Z, however, was a billionaire by then. In addition to collecting art and starting streaming business, he is married to Beyonce and has ventured into sports management. That is to say, he didn't give a damn about Jim and Cam continuing to holler from the sidelines. Jay really mentioned this in a newly unearthed video, likening himself to Michael Jordan and claiming that Jim is like the 8th man on the bench yelling at the MVP.
Jay's longtime nemesis turned collaborator Fat Joe signed to Roc-A-Fella, and now it looks like another former rival will be relying on Ho's team to steer his career, as Dip says Jim Jones is allegedly heading over to Roc Nation. Capo posted a picture of bottles of Douce and Ace of Spades next to a Roc Nation letterhead on IG and told fans to caption it.
At this point, Jim saw that his attempt to disparage Jay was just making him look foolish. And 50 Cent is currently making fun of him for precisely what he did next. Jim completely changed his mind and began pleading with Jay to sign him. Finally, in February of 2017, Jim signed a contract with Roc Nation. Additionally, he formally joined Jay's squad after 13 years of animosity. Furthermore, he didn't simply sign silently. He began boasting that he had been invited to Jay's Roc Nation brunch, which he had previously disparaged. He started publicly complimenting Jay, and all he was doing his hardest to be faithful to Jay.
Whoa.
Now you put the lights on. If I told you I was in the Roc Nation office, how would you feel about that? Huh? You think I was lying? That's clear enough for you? Talk to me. Let me know your sentiments. You heard?
Now, Jay was always his role model, according to any man who once made fun of him for being soft, accused him of betraying the streets, and smacked his friend. However, Jay remained silent once again. To congratulate Jim on joining Roc Nation, there was no public post, no introductory remarks. After Jim joined Roc Nation, there is literally just one picture of Jay and Jim. Jay seemed to prefer being somewhere else, even in this photo. Jim was given the opportunity to sit at the table at last, but Jay made it apparent that they were not and would never be on an equal basis. It's hilarious that Jim was simply another name in the Roc Nation folder, considering he gained notoriety for more than 10 years, from 2002 to 2017, in part by boasting that he wasn't Jay-Z. He positioned Dipset as the street alternative to Jay's business image, the antithesis of Roc Nation. However, the money ultimately prevailed. And when Jim needed a deal, the reputation he had spent more than 10 years cultivating fell apart. Jay-Z didn't have to call him out. He didn't have to answer. Kate did nothing except wait. Kate took the meeting, signed the contract, and continued the process when Jim eventually bowed. And 50 Cent's argument is just that. After years of disparaging Jay, Jim was the one pleading for a place at the table. Now, if Jim hadn't made the error of disregarding Nas's heritage, the majority of people would have most likely forgotten about this. However, when he did so, Jim asked others, like 50, to delve further and revealed his lengthy history of vacillating and feigning allegiance. Additionally, the receipts way too much. How far will this fallout go? That is the issue. Now,